Thanks very much, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Treasurer. Isn't it the case that the 2 quarters following the introduction of the GST in 2000 saw the worst 6-monthly performance of the Australian economy in the last 20 years, including the global financial crisis? Will the Treasurer guarantee that increasing the GST won't lead to a further slowdown in economic growth?
Treasurer has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I welcome the question because it enables me to go back over the Coalition's record when it comes to changing the tax system, Mr Speaker, because when we change the tax system, as I've said on a number of occasions today, we cut taxes. We don't just change taxes, we cut taxes, Mr Speaker. And as a result, what that does is over time that lifts the performance of the economy, Mr Speaker. It grows the economy, and as a result, receipts will grow with the growth in the economy. Those opposite believe the way to deal with the budget challenges that the country faces is just to increase taxes. They just don't see a tax that they don't want to increase, Mr Speaker, and they're out there with the high-tax cheer squad and saying Australia's got a revenue problem, Australia's got a revenue problem. What that means, Mr Speaker, every time those outside this place hear the opposition say that Australia's got a revenue problem, this is what they mean. They don't think the government is taxing them enough. And if they had the opportunity, Mr Speaker, they would increase taxes on the Australian people for no other purpose than to chase the higher and higher levels of expenditure that those opposite have not been able to break their habit of pursuing. Their aspiration and ambition for spending is unmatched, Mr Speaker, and that's why they always want to go for higher and higher and higher taxes. Now,
remind the member for Hawthorn that she's been warned.
The Howard Costello government. Now, Mr Speaker, they had ample opportunity to change all that, Mr Speaker, despite the fact that they went to elections and said, "Oh, we think this is terrible," and all the rest of it. Did they change it? Did they change one iota of it, Mr Speaker? Not once. See, on this side of the House, if we go to the Australian people and we say we are going to get rid of the carbon tax, we're going to get rid of the mining tax, Mr Speaker, we do it. We do it. We follow through. And what the Australian people need to know about those on that side is they'll huff and they'll puff, Mr Speaker, about these things, but if they ever have the opportunity, they won't do anything because they are addicted to the tax revenues that fuels their higher aspirations for spending. On this side, we will control our expenditure as we are, Mr Speaker, as we are. Those opposite are happy to make commitments without being able to pay for one, but on this side we make sure the budget washes its face when it comes to new initiatives, whether it's on childcare or anywhere else. We make sure we put the measures in place to fund the changes we wish to do for the Australian people. Those opposite, Mr Speaker, have completely lost track of those important principles for managing the nation's finances.